Good time of day, everybody. Welcome to the Learning Experience Working Group. Today is January 19th. Let's get into it a little bit here. All right, general updates. Program is green. Barbara, you have 1B. Go for it. Yeah,
so this is just like a FYI. So there's a link there for a document that Sundar shared with us. I thought it's very interesting, so everyone should give it a read, give it a look. And I've added to the Google Drive, and also just to give a heads up that we do have a Google Drive. So I'm pasting everything that's relevant for this project to the Drive. Everyone should have access. If you don't, just let me know. But the link is also in the first page of our agenda. Jamie, I think you added something.
Yeah, it just felt relevant. I saw it on LinkedIn recently that someone who I'm connected with, who's the CEO of an LXP that's based out of the UK, mentioned that they don't appear in any Craig Weiss listings or Fossway Group sort of aggregations because they just don't engage with them. I think you've got to sort of pay to play with some of the lists and stuff. So just worth bearing in mind that if there's a platform we're interested in that doesn't appear on these lists of, top 20 LXPs of the year or that sort of thing, then it might not be that it's not up to scratch. It might just be that they're not necessarily engaging with the L&D influencers out there.
Cool, thanks for adding it. I have the next C as well. So the RFP documentation have been sent to the vendors. There's a final list of the requirements there. Thank you everyone for participating and getting this on time and on track. Sorry, by last Friday. I know you said something, Brian, that you wanted all to give another look at the requirements. Anything you'd like to add there?
Yeah, I just, it was really more for myself, to be honest, but I thought, some good work been put in here on these requirements, and that as working group members, we all owe it to the individuals that put the work in here to know what these requirements are and then ask clarifying questions. So I was kind of hoping to get it done prior to this meeting, but I think we're all busy. So can we just put an action item for all of us to make sure that we know what those requirements are, and if there's questions, please ask them. Of course, if you wrote the requirements, you don't need to review because you know them. But anyways, that was my point.
What's the best way, if we do have questions, just like insert a comment, or is there a consistent way we want to do that?
Yeah, I think you need to put them, definitely. Let's track the questions in the doc itself. Tag everyone so that we can get more clarity. And to be fair, I have not had a chance to review, so they might be absolutely perfect.
Yeah, and I'd have to say, mea culpa, I missed the Friday deadline because other fires came up, but I think I skimmed it and it looked like it's comprehensive, but I'll definitely take a follow-on look, Barbara and everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah, I just want
to make sure.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. The version 2 is our single source of truth on that?
That is correct, yes.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and I was just the deliverables from last meeting, I'll work on updating that Zoom. For some reason, it's not showing up in my profile. So I'll have to add a new meeting, reschedule.
Or you just have to make sure to come to every single meeting.
That's my plan. Not going to do the CEO shadow program again. That's for sure. It was awesome.
Good. All right. So looks like 2B, Christopher and Barbara getting budgetary quotes.
Yeah, we sent the numbers to Sunday yesterday, and we're currently waiting for his feedback.
Yeah, and
so thanks, Sean, and thanks, Sean and Jamie, for helping getting all the data.
Yeah, 100%. And that's to, I think, add another layer. So we did, as I mentioned before, I think it was in the other meeting, but I had Crystal raise the budgetary projections just based on gut feel, but I think Sundar will help dial us in there. So continuing to iterate.
Do we know how this is going to be funded? I know, like, like the context of the first one was when we kicked it off and ultimately ended up in some kind of a category of a shared budget, like a corporate shared. I don't remember what the right nomenclature is, but is that known, or do we still need to solve for that, or where the money's coming from?
That's a great question. My assumption, and we'll need to verify this, is that it's going to fall into the same it's called general allocation budget, or maybe it was split up amongst the 3 different primary users. We can ask Ellen Boyd that question, and we can figure out how that's going to get separated out for clarity.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well, Brian, is it'll stay in allocations.
Yep.
But I think it'll be carved to specific allocations. So I'll have a lion's share of that.
Yeah.
With the education strategy. And then portion of that, David, will probably come out of McBee's budget, and a portion will come out of the L&D budget.
Yeah, I can actually see the spreadsheet in my mind's eye right now when I was looking at that. So, but it's always good to go back and just say, hey, does this still make sense?
Well, thanks.
Okay, who's got the next one?
Sorry, I think I do. Yeah, point C. So there was another action for me to update the LMX LXP Epic. This has been done, and like you requested, Brian, I made sure that it's linked with our handbook page. So if you see anything that's not correct, let me know, but that should be up to date. And we'll keep updating it at least weekly. And then point D is also an action for me. I'm working on those workflows for the certification paths that you mentioned, right? That'll be good to have. So the persona, so I'm working on those. I'll probably have to reach out. I would say, Kendra, you're the best person to help me with that. So I'm trying to create some workflows for what we hoping to have like those paths. So are you the best person to help me just confirming if that's the right way to go?
Yes, I can lay out all the paths for the different certifications that we have and what they lead to, and then how the certifications level from one to the other.
Awesome. That'd be great. Thank you. So I'll reach out.
Okay, all to commit to complete requirements by Friday, January 14th. So I think we're nearly done. There may be some, we'll follow up with the other to-do item for all of us to take a look, and if there's anything else for clarification. I did put a link to, actually it says Enterprise Apps. It's actually all of Business Technology's Q1 OKRs. They're still in WIP. They're not entirely done, but they're very close at this point. If you take a look at that, you will see the one that Christopher Nelson and Mel worked on, probably with Barbara as well. I want to give credit for what credit is due. But you will see the objective number 3, alpha beta infrastructure available for 300 users to support early access at KubeCon. I'm not crazy about the way that's written per se, but I think at the end of the day, Christopher, help me out here, is that we are going to align to allowing 300 users to potentially participate in the certification process. Is that true?
The alpha beta, yeah. So that's essentially the key result, right? Is if we're able to have infrastructure in place for 300 people to perform a beta against the certification, paths that we will erect.
Yeah. So I don't think that we are going to have a new platform up in place, but certainly when I think about the process flow, Barbara, that you are going to work on, I think that would be a good, as is, or starting the new as is, or interim as is, and then how we apply it to the tool going forward. Okay. All right, so DRI updates, and then we'll track some other items that need to get completed at the end here. Michael, do you want to just provide a voiceover?
Yep, no blockers or concerns or risks on my side. The link in Sundar provided, this is less of a pricing specific, but more pricing strategy for some of the vendors. So just what to expect when we're looking at like SkillJar or Litmos on how they do their pricing. He did have just an illustrative at the bottom of that is the, oh, and I realized I hadn't shared that. My apologies. I'll share that right now. When you actually can get into the document, you'll see that he did just a volume pricing sample at the bottom. I have another one-on-one with him. My one-on-ones with him are every Wednesday, so I will follow up with him or on the email that you sent. Make sure we get a response to that.
Yeah, actually, just on that one-on-one, I did ask Christopher if we could just have a session with him. Michael, I mean, it could just be all of us, but I'd just be interested to hear his voice and just, get a chance to get a better feel of his
Sure.
and stuff.
Yeah, I'll take the action to coordinate schedules on that. I'll get Tori to schedule that for us.
It was really more just out of curiosity and building a network with someone who's, living this sort of every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Who do you want to participate in that, Brian?
For me, I was talking to myself and Christopher, but I mean, I don't want to make it so big that he's feeling overwhelmed, but I also don't want to limit it to people that are interested. Another option potentially is in the working group, we could have him join one of the working group meetings, and one of the topics could just be for us to pick his brain if there's some specific questions.
Let me go down that path and see if we can get him to join next week's working group, if that works for everybody.
I think that'd be awesome.
Okay.
Well, I'm next. I feel I've left it as green. Like I shared, I need to make time to review the requirements. I have a meeting today with Michelle Hodges. So gonna provide her with an update. So a couple of questions. One, my strong recommendation to her is like I don't think there needs to be a channel person on this working group. If she pushes for it and insists on having somebody on there, would there be objections to that? Okay.
Yeah.
Big animal pictures as I share with her timeline, what are like just ballpark dates that everybody's comfortable with me sharing with Michelle and McBee, et cetera?
So I'll just add, I was actually going to put that as next steps and action items for this week is now that we've got some semblance of, t-shirt size, can we get a pro forma timeline put in place? Barbara, I'm hoping that we could just, even if it's directional, and put it in the Epic itself. That would be good. I can't answer that, David, but I'm hoping others can at least, if they can't answer it today, maybe we could get together and just put something in place. I don't know, Barbara, you're probably closest to it from a project management point of view. Do you have a sense right now of what is possible? Maybe Christopher, you've been living it for a while.
Yeah, let me just open this to make sure I'm saying it correctly. Sorry, give me one sec. Is it here? Okay, all right. So yeah, so we had the requirements by last Friday. That's done. Our RFP have been sent this Monday, so that's done. So the next kind of like milestones that we have is the bidders call that's happening this Friday the 21st. And then we'll be waiting for responses for the following week. So basically we're still gonna be working on it until the end of this month, which is January 31st. That's when we expect, at least to have everything back from the vendors, and also the demo is gonna be scheduled for the first week of February, correct? So this is just like the timeline that I have now. So until the first week of February, we're still going to be working on that. So does that help, David, to have an idea? I can definitely put that in the Epic so we can have a visual to help. But that's the far as I've planned for this at this stage.
Yeah, that's helpful, Barbara. I mean, is it okay if I tentatively tell partner team that, hey, start of the second half is when we'd be looking to migrate partner users from Edcast over into this new system?
Yeah, I just don't know, like, what is the type of training? Like, if our focus right now is going to be, if you think about our main focus getting to certification, technical certification for, our community, it
would limit the scope to that. So any of Lutz's team's certifications that are applicable to partners, like that.
Yeah,
okay.
100%. I just don't know if we're going to be creating at that point custom experiences for partners, or if it's going to be, oh, hey, go to, the same portal that everyone else is using and do that. So I just want to make sure that nuance is there, because our main focus with this exercise is really that certification program, making sure by August we've lit it up and we can meet that deliverable for commit, and then everything else is sort of secondary to that.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, and I just want to, when you say second half, you mean second half of FY23.
Correct.
And then I think by second half, or I just want to be clear that we're saying August then. Is that the desire? Okay.
Well, so I don't want to speak on behalf of Michael and team. Like, I think they'd want to move quicker. I'm just trying to set the right expectations without too many specifics with Michelle, just ballpark.
Yep, I think that's fair. I think right now there's just heavy caveats for all of us, right? Because we just don't know what we don't know. But I think that's an aspirational date for the channel that we can target for sure. And you're right, that's not going to meet the needs for a PS org, so we'll have to figure that out.
Got it. That's super fair. And no commitments is aspirational. We'll know more as we gather more. Last question for me, the 4 vendors, those vendors were finalized, the ones listed in the Epic with help from Sundar. Is that, if they ask the question, how would we pick those 4 to issue the RFPs to? Sorry if I missed this earlier.
Yeah, so taking from a larger list, I think we got input from all of this group, got the larger list. We sort of did cut down this list. This group blessed it, and then Sundar blessed it as well and said, yeah, those are our players as well. So that's where I would say we made the selection and then validated our thinking against Sundar.
Cool. All right, thank you.
That was a great question, by the way. And I just want to make sure, is everyone in agreement with what Christopher just said? Are we all comfortable with the 4 that have been selected, or is there someone else that we need to take a look at?
I think this goes to our point down in L&D. Jamie did some digging into those platforms, and Jamie, if you want to verbalize specifically like what you saw, but I think we're still early and we need to go through the demos. But Jamie, curious on your.
Yeah, I think speaking of heavy caveats, like before we see the demo, it's hard to predict, exactly what the platforms are going to look like. But it seems like Thought Industries and SkillJar especially are really focused on the customer education side of things. And they look like they might be like really excellent platforms for the professional services use case. It looks like it would probably hit the nail on the head, but it might be that if we end up sort of going down the route with those 2 in particular, obviously we need to get a look at them all. Then we might need to be prepared for field enablement and L&D to sort of start that parallel collaboration on what platforms would work best for those 2 departments, separate from a platform that's specifically designed for customer education rather than employee education.
So maybe in the timeline, we include maybe in February after the demos take place, like a go, no-go decision on if those platforms will fulfill the needs of internal stakeholders as well.
I love that. So just to be clear, what we have decided today is that the 4 that we've just sent this out for RFP, those are 4 that meet the needs for customer education, and that we still have got a decision to make around internal employee education. Mm-hmm. Just stating it clearly, I just want to make sure I understand it, and I think that's what we're all agreeing to.
I think when we were talking to Sundar about it, just to clarify, it was with the intent that the vendors would be able to do both, and there are use cases, I think, for all of them. SkillJar, for example, Salesforce actually uses them as their internal facing enablement. They don't actually, because SkillJar is not what Trailhead is based on. So that just, we wanted to make sure that we were going forward with the understanding we're trying to do a single platform. Of course, if we can't, then we need to split that evaluation.
That's a great point. Yeah, early caveat. We're still just looking now, but I think
fair to keep in mind. But that's just especially on the whole product education piece of it. We're going to be servicing both customers and internals for the product education aspect of it. So what I'm looking for, that's one of the things that I want to make sure that we have that ability to do role-based access for anything that's in there.
Okay, so Josh or Jamie, I can't remember who said it, but I just put it down as a decision needed here, and we'll leave it there until we can get agreement on whether or not those vendors will meet the RFP needs for employee side of the house. Okay,
great.
We're let's see, was there anything else from L&D that wanted to get vocalized?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, our L&D budget has been sort of reallocated towards recruiting this next year. Just that's where all eyes are right now, and hiring more sales folks. And so, if we do have to go with another platform, that could have implications on our budget. But it sounds like what we're evaluating will meet everybody's needs. So that's a good step. So.
One quick question on that from a requirement standpoint, and this is probably for Josh and for David. Is there any specific content that you're looking for a vendor to be able to provide? So if they do offer serving up content, is there anything specific that you're looking for there?
I mean, I could definitely give you a list of, some things that I would want to look for if there's, already self-service content available on those platforms for like leadership or manager training, or, value alignment and soft skills. That would be amazing. But yeah, I can give you a list.
Okay. That's something we can add to the requirements document as a nice to have.
Yeah.
I would probably be very similarly aligned, but then with the selling soft skills on top of that. But yeah, nice to have.
Okay, good stuff. Enterprise apps, overall sentiment green.
Yeah, the only risk I wanted to call out there is, we were apprised by procurement that it sounds like there was a previous scenario with this, but SAP Litmos has identified that with our current timeline, they may not be able to get an NDA signed and meet us in time because we do a custom NDA. So I think Ashley is leaning into that to understand what we can do, but that could impact Litmus being a part of this particular exercise.
Litmus is part of our evaluation when we evaluated Edcast. Would we not be able to leverage or maybe we didn't sign one, but if we did, would we not be able to leverage that same NDA?
That's what she's inquiring about, is trying to understand, okay, what's the difference in those two docs, Michael? And, is there a delta that we would need to get them to accept, et cetera? So that's the double click right now.
Awesome. All right, thanks.
Litmos, of course, is owned by SAP. So I wonder, do we have an NDA with SAP that would cover it?
At this point,
yeah, I'm just questioning.
Yeah, and it goes back to I think we had signed one previously. We just don't know what language has changed, and so we need to understand that, because my understanding getting it signed before, this is based on secondary information from Ashley, is that it took us a few weeks to get that done. Yeah.
Okay.
I just wrote a note in the chat that, Sid's former CEO coach is now the CEO of Degreed, which is another LXP. So maybe you can give us a discount or something. I just thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Next steps, right up against it here. Michael, let's check with Sundar for next week's working group. Barbara to create a timeline, add it to the Epic. That would be awesome, even if it's just a straw man timeline. I think it'll make everyone feel good about where we can march. And then I'm going to ask Ellen Boyd about current Edcast allocation and review if this will still hold going forward. Also, the change in L&D moving to recruiting. I'm going to make the assumption that the FP&A partners have made the appropriate budgetary changes, but maybe we'll ask about that as well. And then also everyone to review the requirements.
Can I add one just for content curation teams? Since we're going to be moving platforms regardless of what we find, I think it's important that all teams ensure that their content is organized and we have a similar, if not exact, file naming format, particularly for our uploads. I know Jamie and I have collaborated on a lot of that, but just ensuring anything that we upload has the same file format. It makes it a lot easier to ensure that we have a good content repository.
Kendra, I'm so glad you just mentioned that. There's some education also. It was funny. I was talking to Craig Mistel and he's all, what is SCORM? Right. And so I think we got to make sure that we don't
put that in my message, and that's probably why.
Yeah. People assume like they know things like this. And I can't remember what the acronym stands for. Honestly, I used to know, but anyways, I know what it is, but I think you're spot on that we do need to think about some education to the group about like some basic things around L&D tools.
I did a primer for all of the content curators about a year ago. I think it's on our YouTube channel that talks about the different delivery methods and the different instructional design technologies. I'll find that and I'll link it over to you. But I just think that it would be a really good time to take out what's outdated and ensure that we don't move it over if it's out of date.
Great call out.
On that note, Kendra, in terms of the same file format, do we have a standard documented that we can refer to?
So we do. I had one written up with Isaac when he was here. And I've also shared that with Jamie and Irina before she went on maternity leave. So it's something that we've had internally. I don't know if we have it like actually documented in the handbook. I know we had it in our notes doc for our ID sync. So I will dig it out and I will find it, share it with you.
Cool. Thank you.
Josh, is that worthwhile for everyone to review that video? I'll just put it in here.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think Kendra covers a lot of great best practices. So it's about 45 minutes.
There you go. All right, that was a nice, efficient meeting. Went a little bit over. Everyone have a great day. Josh, if you could put the recording up on the agenda doc, that'd be fantastic. Talk to everyone soon. Bye-bye.
Great.
Bye.